2018 Jeep Wrangler first drive review, because it's there. We find ourselves on New Zealand's South Island, perched on a soggy, precipitous mountainside east of Lake Hawea, following a long morning crawl down the ridge of Mount Prospect and crossing the Lindis River more times than I could remember. While my off-road spotters discuss the merits of trying to create forward versus backing down the narrow path cut in the hillside, I steal a glance at the pitch and roll feature displayed between the gauges of the new Jeep Wrangler. It was at least as informative as the view out the windshield, which by that point was mostly sky and mountaintops, with the occasional sight of a spotter's head poking up over the hood. For reference, the steepest paved road in the world is 20 degrees. Not that there was anyone to talk to. My driving partner had hopped out several minutes earlier, after watching the Jeep ahead struggle with the same obstacle. We resolved to make it without the support Jeep saving winch, but it was a precarious position. I needed to make a left turn up this 24-degree slope, with a steeper uphill slope to my immediate left and an equally sheer drop to my immediate right. For good measure, the light rain falling for the past hour had turned the hillside into a muddy mess. I didn't begrudge my co-driver his choice to bail. I encouraged it. We're here because an all-new Jeep Wrangler is a rare thing to behold, one that arrives once in a decade at most. It is the rugged flag bearer of the Jeep brand, the SUV, and the most symbolically important vehicle Fiat Chrysler makes, which can only be properly showcased in the most extreme environments. It's also an anachronism, a holdover from a bygone era of vehicle making that, had it never existed previous, would never be approved by a responsible corporate board today. It also is the one vehicle in the world that could properly surmount this ridiculous obstacle, and the Jeep folks wanted to prove it. The Jeep Wrangler makes every bit of sense and none at all, and it must be accepted by a wildly devoted fan base that will tolerate no weakness. Fortunately for everyone involved, it doesn't have many faults. In fact, it has so few we might as well just get them out of the way. First, the clutch take-up on the 6-speed manual transmission is so vague even our office mates at JP and 4-wheel and off-road were stalling. Second, the V6 still feels a bit gutless at low RPM on pavement despite improvements. That about covers it. Back on that hillside, I was driving a 2-door Rubicon with the standard 3.6-liter V6 and optional 8-speed automatic. It makes the same 285 horsepower and 260 pounds-ft as before but gets better fuel economy and low-end torque. At crawling speeds and with 4-wheel drive gearing advantages, torque wasn't an issue. 2 days later, driving back into town in a heavier 4-door Rubicon Unlimited with the same engine but standard 6-speed manual, the lack of grunt was more apparent. The enormous improvement in ride quality was also more apparent on the road. Don't worry, it still drives like a truck, just one from this century. Moving the shocks farther outboard and raising the roll center have seriously reduced the head toss and impact harshness in everyday driving. Getting to the trail has never been so pleasant. Although you'll spend far more time on the road than the trail, we know you don't care about that part, so let's dive back into the mud. After lunch on the trail, it was a higher speed to track out to camp with one last river crossing to round things out. As if to drive the point of the new generation's excellence home, one of the previous generation Rubicon Unlimited support vehicles beached itself trying to climb out, right after the new ones drove right through. After a night of unexpectedly heavy snowfall and several collapsed tents, we ran for the shores of Lake Hawea and out another 2-track toward Mount Aspiring National Park. On this day, I'd made a point of claiming the all-new 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It makes 268 horsepower and 295 pounds-ft and uses a belt alternator starter system that can take some load off the engine. This is the first 4-banger Wrangler in over a decade and an optional upgrade over the V6. So I had to know if it's any good. This would be the day to find out. We were headed for a boulder field at the base of Mount Aspiring. Available only with the 8-speed automatic, the Turbo 4 felt perfectly at home bumping along the 2-track and down a stretch of paved road. The transmission, paired with either engine, continues to be a gem with quick, smooth gear shifts and a smart computer that always seems to know what gear it ought to be in. On road and off, the engine felt just as powerful as a V6. And its automatic start-stop system is among the smoothest on the market in any vehicle type. The real test, though, would be crawling.